Mount Redtooth. Its top littered with man-made eyes that stare into the endless depths of space. Tonight, the champion of light will depend on them to pick out a message from the ether.
再び来たな。
As history repeats itself, the
パターン。
man remembers the patterns. He knows that he needs the missing part for the telescope.
あ、先に探す感じか。まあそりゃそうか。何こいつ。なんだ今の。待って、なんか画面変わった。あ、くそ、間に合う。何今の。これ強いな。くそ。奥にいる。何あいつ。登山家みたいな格好してるけど。爆弾犯。オッケー。強いな。サブマシンガン強くない？弾数が多いから安心して撃てる。まあ、だから一発一発の威力が強い方がいいんだよね、本当はね。
There are places where our world is worn thin and another reality brushes against ours. One such site is Cauldron Lake near Bright Falls, Washington. But there are others. That other reality is dark, vast, and malleable, always in flux. In its depths dwell vast forces and alien energies. They're dangerous. But in one of these places, if you know how, you can channel the power of that place and use it to shape reality.
俺の今住んでるところもそうかもしれん。ちょっと何するか。弾が少ねえやね。10発だ。あったあった。
I've seen the enemy, and it's me. I've faced dark horrors before, things that live in the unimaginable pressures of the world beyond our own. Sometimes they masquerade as humans. That's what ultimately lurks inside Mr. He's every mean-spirited tabloid story about me, an evil caricature, a creature formed in that vague territory of misconceptions, half-truths, and the dark imagination of people who heard a story about me. An urban legend made flesh, a serial killer. My dark half, brought to life by the power of Cauldron Lake. The atmosphere in the projection booth at the drive-in was charged, almost unreal. Despite that, the air felt cool and refreshing this late at night. It'd been a hot day. The summer was nearing its end, but it wasn't over yet.
いますか。ああ、取るか先に。まあ先回りした方がいいよな、確かにな。行って戻るぐらいだったら時間の無駄も省けるしな。何どっから来る鳥が。入れた。行こう早めに。あ、行こう。行こう。来た。あれか、人間の時に 人型の時に一定ダメージ与えればいいのか。なんだよてめえこの野郎。おい。オッケー。2体いる。で死ぬ。油断した。原稿を取りたいんだよね。何したいかっていうと今。あオッケー。だあ、ふざけんなてめえ。弾がない弾がない。
The spiders aren't really the work of the enemy. They're a side effect, a part of the dark place's less significant fauna that has managed to slip through the opening I made when I arrived. Less an animal than an idea that has assumed the form of an animal. Makes them no less dangerous, but at least they're a little easier to deal with. The darkness doesn't protect them like the Taken, and thus they can be destroyed by either light or bullets right away.
どっちかで倒せるんだ。挟まった。で、原稿があったあった。
Stories come naturally to us. We can't help it. There are many different worlds, many competing realities within our heads, fueled by books, television, even barely remembered childhood tales. There's an endless supply of fictional concepts more familiar to us than anything or anyone real. We have a far greater connection to the fictional characters we know and love than the random people we pass on the street. Our destinies and inspirations are shaped by lies, myths, and fables.
レイボーズ。お、ライフに変えよう。カービンライフ。これね、ある程度距離があってもな、戦えるからな。ブー。
It's you. How dare you? No, wait.
物分かりがいいな。
Is it? I suppose you'd better come in. I'll unlock the door.
開けたまえ。Thanks。今まで調べてこなかったけど、俺別？
I know what you're thinking. Evil twins,
調べりゃよかった。
supernatural powers. But most of the time, I just like to keep things basic. I want you to understand that.
別じゃん。
Like this. Need to get your hands dirty? No batteries, no moving parts, just physics. That's technology you can depend on. It's a classic.
クラシック。
Speaking of classics, you need to be careful with this one, though. If the victim suddenly twists, you might end up cutting yourself. It's not really a workhorse, but I'm a sucker for this style. Now this is more like it. You've got slip-resistant grip. Believe me, you really want that traction once you're wrist deep in somebody. The blade's stiff enough so it won't open by accident in your pocket, but it's still really easy to open with just one hand. Now that's a big thing for me. I know what you're thinking. It's too big, too heavy. But sometimes you just need the extra oomph. If you're talking intimidation, this is gonna do the job. Also great for dismemberings and whatnot. You know, the messy jobs. I can't tell you how many things I've MacGyvered with this stuff. Okay, now guns. Not a big fan. I mean, how are you supposed to really connect with somebody with a bullet? I want you to understand that. I take pride in what I do. We can't both be worthless hacks, can we?
イケメンだな。あ、3発しかねえんだ。
You'll have to forgive me, but this feels very strange. It seems like this has all happened before.
いや、それが正解。
Replacement part for your telescope, Doctor.
All right. Let's get it installed.
弾がね、ああ、弾拾えばよかった。絶対出てくるだろ、敵、ここで。弾がね。あ、でも上で拾えるか。先に拾ってから行こう。オッケー。リボルバーに変えたいな、早くな。あ、150発。あ、でもどうだ、俺の使い方良くないだけで。なんだかんだ。ねえ。サブマシンガンの方がいいかもしれないからな。
think we can give this a go. Although I have this strange feeling that something will go wrong.
手順を省いてる
Problem
が
with the cooling
そ
system.
う
Yes, that's right.
で
I
先に
remember.
直してから来た方がよかったん
All
だ
right,
よ
let me think. If they're sabotaging it, they'll be at the primary coolant pipe outside. If you can secure it, we should be ready to pick up the signal. That is why you're here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'll take care of it.
Before you go, if you have the time, I'd appreciate if you came up here and explained a few things. All of this is very strange to me.
だいぶ物分かりがいいな今回は。守るか。ああ、そっかそっか。途中で壊れたんだな、そういえばな。一箇所だけじゃないだろう。ああ、でもそういうことか。壊れたから、電脚装置を直したんだっけ。電脚装置ってなんだこれ。あ、飛び越えていけるのね。すごいな。なんでもありだな、アラン。待って、来てる敵が。
As
だ
a
が、
storyteller, my
先に読む。
first real love was crime. And it was in that genre that I finished my first novel,
Alex
starring a
Casey.
perpetually miserable Alex Casey, whose entire life was a wound that never healed. The books sold as fast as they hit the
アラン・ウ
shelves.
ェイクの
I wrote 5 more Alex Casey
作品ね。
books, and they all
主人
were
公ね。
bestsellers. I became rich. I became famous. Success brought pressure, and I didn't handle it very well.
何が来た今。はよ。くそ。なんだお前。うわ、危ね。おい。あ、もう一丁欲しがりだね。守る。どこにいる？上か。どこ？これどこ？これ中か。あそこにいたか。オッケー。
Hate the light, am I correct? You should be able to turn on the lights and secure the area that way.
Doctor, can you hear me? I think we're good to go.
All right, I'll start looking for the signal. Please, head back.
来た。俺が好きな犯罪小説ってなんだろうな。コーマック・マッカーシーが大好きなんだよね。犯罪小説といえば小説だけど。来た、ポルターガイスト。終わり？終わりか。ハードボイルドもので言ったらなんだろうな。やっぱりエイモンド・チャンドラーなのかな。まあ、神だよね。サム・スペードでもいいし。ねえ。なんだろうな、でも一番いいのは、好きなのは。 どこにある？裏側か。
When Dr. Rachel Meadows got the call from Michael, telling her to hurry to the observatory, she didn't waste any time. It had been a nice party. She'd had a good time, but her social life would always play second fiddle to the mysteries of space. Michael never showed up, of course. He pulled over at the wrong rest stop. She never even thought about him at the time. The phenomenon in the sky above her was too fascinating.
誰だマイケルって。あれか、上司か。仕事にまた戻れって言った。なに？あぶれ。何が来る？うわ。なんだ。じゃない。回復させてくれ。いや、死ぬ。回復させてくれよ。ああ、なんで希望をついえさせるのが好きだね、君たちは。あと一歩のところでね。後ろにいる。当たんねえのはなんだ。おい。今の原稿取りたいな。あ、ここにある。どこ？お、なんだっけ？ショットガン。
The Taken may well be the tool the darkness favors over any other. At some point, they used to be human, but whatever humanity they once had is long gone. Now they're just shells covered and filled by darkness. The Taken Mr. throws at me are more grotesque and varied than the ones I first encountered in Bright Falls. But I know how to deal with them. I'd be lying if I said they don't fright me. But I've survived worse. I can't let them stop me.
Stop me. 武器くれ。回復させてくれ。なんか落ちてる。違う、勘違い。あ、いるね。このためにライフルにしたんだ、そういえば。オッケー。どこ行ったてめえ。来た。はよ。オッケー。ヘッドショットナイス。ブー。どうしたどうした。闇で追われてない？大丈夫？上か。光の戦士、アランが来ましたよ。
Find the signal?
Yes, I don't think it's quite the same thing we had the last time. Still, we're definitely picking it up.
Are we getting the complete signal now?
I'm afraid not. Take a look at it yourself. I'm printing out a hard copy now. I'd like to ask you a question or two before that, though. if you don't mind.
What's on your mind, Doctor?
Most people would find these events extremely disturbing, provided that they survive these creatures, that is. You seem to be quite adept at dealing with the situation. Why is that?
Yes, I was involved in... It's a complex story. I was in this small town, and a horrible thing from another dimension kidnapped my wife and manipulated me into writing this horror story that came true. I learned to fight it with light, and I managed to contain it and free my wife. But I was trapped in its world.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. So, I'm used to reality working in strange or even impossible ways. And I fought these things, not exactly like this, but close enough for a good while now. Of course, I have certain advantages. Was there anything else?
What did you mean when you said you have advantages?
At the risk of sounding like a lunatic, reality is much more fluid than people think. It can be influenced.
I didn't take you for a mystic.
I'm not. I'm a writer. And under certain conditions, I can, for lack of a better word, rewrite reality. Change things.
That's absurd.
But it works.
Assuming I believe this, why don't you simply, I don't know, write yourself some superpowers?
It's not quite that simple. You need to follow certain laws of drama, I suppose. You need to think about consistency and symbolism. Often what you write isn't anywhere near as important as what you imply. There are things out there that will take advantage of your mistakes.
You really believe in this?
Don't look at me like that. You've experienced some of this yourself.
I will gladly admit that something exceedingly strange is going on. But this idea that you're somehow altering reality with your writing is ridiculous. You're essentially saying you're controlling my actions. Leaving aside the rational arguments against this, what gives you the right?
Well, it's more like having a destiny. A path you're on. You're not aware of it, but there it is. If somebody changes it, what difference does it make? It's what every writer does. If you write something that affects one of the characters, they don't really know about that.
I'm not a character. Are you saying that it's all right to take advantage of someone if they aren't aware of it?
Look, all I meant was that if you're genuinely making all your own decisions, and those decisions lead to whatever destiny you have, what practical difference does it make?
I suppose that depends on whether our destinies are determined by things like physics and probabilities, or natural reality, which is presumably neutral and impartial, or by some kind of an intelligence. If it's the latter, that intelligence makes choices based on some criteria. If we suffer as a result of those choices, there's a moral and ethical element involved, regardless of whether we're aware of its manipulations. Wouldn't you agree?
You're taking this very well. I thought you'd be hangry.
I suppose I would be if I thought you could actually do this.
いいことしない俺と。怒らないでさ。
Another printout.
とはいかないわけだ。
Another signal fragment. The message is still not complete, but it's another piece of the weapon he has built against his adversary. Mere words on a piece of paper, but in the right hands, they will hold back the darkness